Hey guys, what's up? Nick here once again, and today we're going to be ranking all of the Twisted Metal 2 endings from worst to best. So let's get right into it. About a year ago, I uploaded a video to this channel of me ranking all of the Twisted Metal 1 lost endings from worst to best. I went back and I thought, wait, why did I never turn this into a series where I ranked every game with every ending from worst to best? At first I was going to put every single game in the series into one massive video, but I decided why not just separate them into their own little dedicated videos. I think more people will appreciate that more and it'll be more digestible, if you will, to the viewer. So that's what we're going to be doing, and we're starting out with Twisted Metal 2, and again, if you want to check out my rankings of Twisted Metal 1's lost endings, I will put that link to the video in the description below. Make sure to go check that out once you're done with this one. But with that being said, we're going to jump right into the worst of the worst at number 14, which is Sweet Tooth's ending. The reason I'm putting Sweet Tooth so far down on this list, literally the worst of the worst in my opinion, is not because I necessarily hate this ending all that much. I really do like every ending in Twisted Metal 2 for different reasons, but I'll get more into those, of course, as we go on in this video. But the main reason this is the least favorite for me is the fact of just how different this ending is compared to what is said in his bio. This might have been something to do with the lack of time during development to get this character out there. I mean, he is put behind a password wall for some reason, so he's not a character you get right off the rip. He is a locked character, and the main reason for this, according to David Jaffe, is that they wanted Axel to become the poster child of the series from Twisted Metal 2 moving forward. But I guess Sweet Tooth just still became the fan favorite and they wanted more of him, and thus he stayed the poster boy for the rest of the series. Now, coming back to the actual ending, for some reason Sweet Tooth decides to wish to be a bug in a garden. He is just tired of the world and the mayhem that he has seen caused, and he just wants to get away from it all, which is kind of understandable, but he's supposed to be a maniacal serial killer crazy clown. So why the hell does he want to get away from it all and just be a bug in a garden? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and it just leaves me baffled. Looking at his bio in Twisted Metal 2, this is verbatim what he says. My first home was the circus. My second was a state institute. My next home will be yours. I will be the man who hides under your bed, in your closet, in your mind. When I win, you'll never be too far from me. Now, does that sound like somebody who wants to wish to become a goddamn bug? I don't think so. Moving on to number 13, we have Warthog. Now, this one is kind of silly, and I can understand if people do enjoy this ending, but to me, it's kind of the least memorable one, mainly because he's just an old guy, 100+ years old, in the contest that somehow survives and wins, and his wish is just to become young again, but he words it in a very dumb way. He says that he wants the body of a 20-year-old. He doesn't say, oh, I wish I was 20 years old again, or I wish I was young. No, he literally says, I wish I had the body of a 20-year-old. So Calypso, maniacal and monkey paw-esque as he is, he decides to twist his words and give him literally just the body of a 20-year-old. So he's left with his old ass head. Yes, it is kind of funny and silly. It's a weird image for sure. And they did carry it over into Twisted Metal 3, which is commendable. But for all of its worth, I still think it's kind of a lame ending, so that's why number 13, I think, is where it belongs. And moving on to number 12, we have Thumper. This one is kind of a letdown for me, and I can understand why a lot of people say this is actually the worst one in the game. But for me, I don't think it's necessarily bad. It just doesn't really matter in the end. It's just kind of like, okay. I kind of understand what Calypso is doing, but it just feels like Bruce could have asked for a better wish. So essentially, he just wants all the power in the world. He just wants to rule the world, so to speak. And so Calypso gives him his wish, but by the time the Twisted Metal contest is over, in this realm of possibilities, the world is essentially ended. So Thumper really isn't ruling over anybody or anything. Everyone's dead, everything's destroyed, and thus he is left to moan to himself. And I do find it kind of funny, kind of silly, I guess, but it is one of the most, like, bleh endings in the game. And at number 11, we have Mr. Slam. Now, this one is kind of dumb, in my opinion, but I can understand what they were going for, and that's why I don't think it's terrible by any means. But Simon Whittlebone just basically wants to build the world's largest tower. He wants to tower over everyone on the earth and be the mightiest architect the world has ever seen. Obviously, he has an ego issue, and that's what ends up getting him killed. He just goes to the top of the building, and he screams at the heavens. He missteps, and he falls to his death. It is kind of a gruesome ending, and it's kind of brutal that they were able to get away with it in a T-rated game, but it is funny, and it does fit the game's atmosphere. I don't hate this ending by any means, but I do find it a little bit kind of, you saw it coming in a way. So yeah, Mr. Slam is a number 11. And at number 10, we have Mr. Grimm. This one is just downright silly to me. Essentially, he just feeds off souls. He is the Grim Reaper, so they were going straight up cheeseball in this one. You know, he's not like a dude in a skeleton costume or anything. He is actually the Grim Reaper, and he is hungry. He is running out of souls. People are not dying fast enough, in his words. So Calypso decides to speed up the process, essentially ending the world as we know it. Everybody dies. Grimm eats to his heart content with all the souls coming his way. But then he soon realizes there's no more souls to devour since everyone is dead, and he is hungry once again. End scene. So yeah, it's just kind of silly, kind of a funny ending, but it's just like, okay, the world ended. Whoop-de-doo-dah. Moving on. Coming in at number 9, we have Outlaw 2. Now, this is actually higher on my list than I think it really deserves to be. It's not really that enticing of an ending, but I do like it because it does tie in to the first game, and it actually canonically makes Outlaw 1 the very first winner of Twisted Metal. And essentially because he's in space, and that only happens if he wins and gets his wish in Twisted Metal 1. And this time around, it's Carl's sister that joins the tournament in Outlaw 2. She wins, and her wish is to get her brother free, but the way she words it, she screws up, or at least it makes us think she screwed up by saying, "I want to see my brother." And so she gets sent to space to be with her brother, but of course, somehow, Calypso sends her car with her, and she already set up the vehicle to fly in space like a rocket ship. It doesn't make any sense. We don't have to look at logistics here. And she rescues him and sends him back to Earth, and then they show up in Twisted Metal 3 together, which is kind of cool. But it's just one of those things where it's like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It really wouldn't have worked out even in this term. And even if we were to let go all of the things that are fantasy in Twisted Metal 2, and we were just to say, yeah, that's normal, I still don't think Calypso would have sent her to space in her vehicle, you know, with the risk of this happening. So it just ended up working perfectly for Outlaw, and it just doesn't seem like it makes a whole lot of sense. But needless to say, it's at number 9 just because of the fact that it does tie into the first game pretty nicely. And at number 8, we have Hammerhead with Mike and Stu. This one is synonymous for being one of the funniest endings in the game, and I have to agree. It's really just a cheeseball slapstick comedy. There's really nothing else to say about it. It's two dudes who want to fly, or want the ability to fly, and Calypso gives them just that. But before they can receive their plane tickets, they jump off a building and fall to their death, just like Simon Whittlebone did prior. And yeah, it's meant for laughs, nothing super serious here, and because of that, because there's nothing really serious going on, that's why it's higher on my list, and probably some of you might put it lower, but for me, I think number 8 is a fair placement. Coming in at number 7, we have Twister. She's got to go fast. All she wants is the fastest vehicle in the world and to go as fast as she possibly can, and Calypso does just that. She ends up going so fast, indeed, that she ends up going back in time, which is insane. It's a really cool premise. Some cool effects are shown, and she ends up in the land before time, so to speak, and gets killed by a dinosaur. It's really a neat and interesting twist on this kind of wish, I suppose. And Calypso could have just been like, oh, you went so fast, here's a car accident, and it would have been kind of boring. So I like what they went with the time travel aspect here, and it is a pretty unique ending. So Twister comes in at number 7. And at number 6, we have Spectre. This one, in my opinion, is the funniest in the entire game. I don't think it's ever meant to be that. I think it was meant to be a gross out type ending, but there's just something about the sound design and the way it animates when he's stretching his face. It's just hilarious. And that's why I love this ending so much. Spectre is such a goofball. He just wants to be the most famous man on Earth. He wants everybody to see his face. So Calypso takes him literally, and he ends up stretching his entire face over the planet Earth. And this is also even more funny to me, being that Small Brawl is canon to TM2, being that the kid who plays Spectre is the son of Ken from Spectre and Twisted Metal 2. So I guess if he ever wants to see his dad or talk to him, all he has to do is look up. And at number 5, we had Roadkill with Marcus Kane. This is one that I think deserves its rightful spot at number 5 because it just adds so much ambiguity to the series, and also it just lets the audience guess a lot more instead of just feeding you information. It leaves a more open ending, which is really cool. So Marcus Kane in the game is kind of known as this crazy dude who thinks that this is all in his head, or just it isn't real. So he asks Calypso to wake him up, or just let him see the light, so to speak. And so Calypso does just that, and Marcus Kane wakes up in a hospital bed surrounded by his family and all these other people who have been in a very serious pileup on a highway. And all these characters are clear as day people from Twisted Metal 2, and it kind of opens up the question of like, so was it all just a dream inside of his head? Or did Calypso create this scenario because of his wish? Was it actually really Twisted Metal, and then Calypso just decided to turn it into this, fake scenario where it was just a pileup on the highway? It's impossible to know, and I like that it leaves it all open-ended for the audience to decide or to guess, and that's why I think Roadkill deserves this number 5 spot. And at number 4, we have Minion. This one's really fun because it actually is worth just going through the game as Minion, destroying everybody in your path, and you get a really funny ending to boot. They didn't have to add an ending for Minion in any way, shape, or form. The fact that he is playable is cool enough in my opinion. But yeah, the ending is really good. Essentially, he confronts Calypso and sends him back to hell. And Calypso doesn't like that. It's the first time in the game where you really feel kind of bad for the guy. And you can see a vulnerable side of Calypso in the sense of he doesn't want to die, or essentially doesn't want to get sent back to hell. It's very funny, it's comical, and it does feel very good to see. And down in the top 3, we have number 3 with Shadow. Now, Mortimer in this game is a very interesting character. We don't know a whole lot about him, and I think that's for a good reason. He is a very mysterious character who essentially has collected all of the damned souls of the previously killed people in Twisted Metal's contests. And he essentially sicks them on Calypso to kill him, so to speak. But all they really do is wisp him into the air. They send him flying around for a while, and Calypso just ends up grabbing onto the wing of an airplane and surviving. It's really a comical ending more than it is interesting, but I just love this ending so much. I love the artwork, I love the voice acting. I like the idea that Shadow was just there trying to kill Calypso by trolling him because he kind of deserves it. But of course, Calypso still ends up getting the upper edge and surviving. And number 2, we have Grasshopper. Now, this one really came out of left field, and I remember as a kid when I first saw this ending, it honestly brought a tear to my eye. It has a lot of heart to it, which you don't really see too much in this game at all. It's either completely cheeseball or very serious and gritty. There's really no in between when it comes to the Twisted Metal 2 endings. And I think Grasshoppers really hits the nail on the head for just some of the best writing in the game. And if I'm to say in the entire series, the overall twist is that she is a child. She's 16 years old and she lied about her age to get into the contest. But you also find out that she's not even really human. She's a robot that the LAPD somehow scrapped together to send her into the contest to confront her father. Another twist. So yes, she is Calypso's daughter, and they realize that she would be the only one to get close enough to Calypso to explode and kill him. So yeah, she has a bomb implanted in her body, and Calypso accepts his fate by holding his daughter close one last time. She explodes, they both die, and it's really the end. It's a very sad and very interesting ending to one of the most interesting characters, I would think, in this game, because again, she's the only one that's underage. So yeah, just a really cool and unique ending, and I applaud the writers for not trying to shy away from being sappy and serious for once. And at number 1, this is my personal favorite ending in Twisted Metal 2. By all means, if you disagree or if you have a more favorite one, let me know in the comment section below what your ranking is of the different endings of Twisted Metal 2. But my personal favorite is Axel. I absolutely love the idea of this character. I think he's just one of the most badass looking designs in the entire series, and he still holds up to this day. Just this giant buff dude hooked in between these two giant wheels, and essentially he's stuck in there for life. It does kind of open up a can of worms of questions of like, how does he use the bathroom? But we're not going to get into that here. In his ending, all he wants to do is confront his father, who apparently is the one who imprisoned him in this machine in the first place. We get to see Axel roll up to his dad, who's working out on the farm, and his father, clear as day, is an abusive asshole. He doesn't seem to care about Axel's feelings or even care that he won the contest. So Axel decides to rip himself out of the machine. There's dripping blood, there's some nasty designs in the sound department, there's screaming, and he essentially just tells his dad to go fuck himself as he walks out into the cornfield, never to be seen again. This is another situation of an open ending where you don't really know what happens to Axel. Does he bleed out in the cornfield? Does he find somebody that helps him out and he's able to just return back to normal life? Does he find a doctor who can get him some hands so he doesn't have to go around with just stumps for the rest of his life? The questions are honestly open-ended, which is fine. And I think that adds more to the ending. It makes it more impactful. And again, I just love that the writers decided to go more deep with this story than to go cheesy funny like all the other ones seem to be in this game. So yeah, Axel is definitely my #1 pick. So that is it for all of my Twistmetal 2 endings ranked from worst to best. I still stand by that I think Twistmetal 2 has some of the best endings in the entire series, and that is saying a lot because there's a lot of games in the series, a lot of different cutscenes for the endings for a lot of different characters, but I still think TM2 really holds up even in 2025. Even David Jaffe has gone on record saying that he thinks the comic book style has really aged poorly and doesn't look good anymore and it just doesn't hold up, but I highly disagree. I think it holds up very well, and they look badass and great to this day. So let me know in the comment section below what your ranking is for the Twistmetal 2 endings from worst to best. Make sure to check out my video of ranking the Twistmetal 1 endings from worst to best in the description below. And if you want to see more videos like this, I will definitely be doing the rest of the series from Twistmetal 3 and so on and so forth. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that one. Make sure to leave a like, share, support as always. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and we'll hopefully see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.